Dia nak mabuk ke tak apa, tapi janganlah membuatkan dia tu disebarkan seluruh negara video-video dia. Dan kita kesian tengok edisi dia orang Melayu. Dia beri gaji bukan nak jaga dia mabuk. Apa guna pegawai keselamatan yang disediakan oleh PJLM? Jaga orang mabuk, jaga menteri nak mabuk. Ini apa benda ni? Anwar Ibrahim patut ambil tindakan. Jangan bacol sangat, apa heran sangat dengan Tiong ni. Macam-macam. Dah sekarang macam-macam orang defend dia punya tindakan. Apa peduli, apa kisah sangat. Untuk minum, kita nak sambut pelancong. Kisah sangat pasal minum-minum ni. Dia jadi biasa pula. Dulu dekat Laos, tak silap saya, ataupun Kamboja, dia minta kementerian supaya hidang babi dalam menu. Dibantah oleh pegawai KP. Dibantah juga oleh duta kita di sana. Baru dia nak ikut. Besar betul kepala dia. Ingat dia siapa? Tak hormati negara Islam. Agama Islam, agama negara ni. Bangsat menteri-menteri ni. Musibat. Musibat andang.
Ada ke video Tiong mabuk masa menjalankan tugas? I don't know what he's talking about. I'm not sure. Kalau ada, please share with me. But apa dia punya point? Ini negara Islam. Apa kena-mengena negara Islam ke tak Islam ke? Firstly, kat mana yang kata ni negara Islam? It simply says negara ini agama rasmi dia adalah Islam. Because majority beragama Islam. Okay? So kalau you nak kata, based on his definition, negara Islam, pasal apa ada kasino kat Genting? Bukankah judi itu haram? So, kat Genting tu bukan part of negara Islam lah. All the sports toto semua tu bukan ada kat negara Islam. Kedai arak, beer factory, Anchor, Carlsberg, semua kilang-kilang tu pun ada kat Malaysia kan. Ada lesen arak kan. Government earn kan from lesen arak. So, itu apa? Negara apa? Negara government Islam. Macam mana tu? How? Kalau yang pun be consistent lah. Kalau tak consistent, dan itu bukan Islam, itu munafik. Okay? So, babi pun jual. Jadi, Cina-Cina pun makan juga babi. Orang India pun makan juga babi. Jadi, yang tu kat negara Islam juga kan. Kat Malaysia, you kata negara Islam. So, let me correct you lah. Firstly, is negara, official agama dia Islam. Tapi ada juga bangsa-bangsa lain, kaum-kaum lain, agama-agama lain. Jadi, they don't necessarily subscribe to Islam. Jadi, apa salahnya kalau menteri yang bukan Islam minum, melainkan dia mabuk dan dia tunjuk dia punya situasi mabuk. So, tak tahu lah kalau ada video macam tu. Itu memang memalukan Malaysia. Kalau aku malu juga lah. You shouldn't be intoxicated while you're performing government work lah. Anybody who does that should be sacked. Tapi kalau orang have casual drinking and dia boleh kerja and they are delivering results, kenapa nak kena pecat tourism minister pula? Nak ambil tahu walaupun yang tak minum, yang pakai ketayak tapi bodoh and tak minum tapi tak boleh buat kerja, ataupun songlak duit. So we are not going to do that sort of thing lah. So I tak tahu PM Anwar nak dengar tak cakap orang ni. Dia pun sometimes pander to the Malay punya extremes. Tapi whatever it is lah, ini is a political stunt. Oh, nak marah, nak pecat, nak ganti ke siapa? So where is Tiong falling short? So I don't know what video he's talking about. Okay, but for me, they brought a lot of investments. They are doing work well. Kita tourism industry is doing well under this Tiong. And whenever he drinks, so what? He's non-Muslim. He drinks. Boleh minum. Orang Melayu pun ada minum. So, dia nak makan babi ke, dia nak main judi ke, itu dia punya lifestyle, dia punya agama allow dia. Antara dia dengan Tuhan dia lah. So, you nak bising apa? What, are you short of just saying, ini negara Islam, kita tak boleh ada menteri yang bukan Islam? Is that what you're going towards? So, Pasal apa all the non-Muslims kena subject themselves to the lifestyle, the restraint of a Muslim? Pasal apa kena? That is not required under the constitution, and we have no right to demand that from the non-Muslims. Kalau non-Muslims demand that from us, so just because we are majority, we want to trample people. We want to impose double standards on people. That's why dalam kat Malaysia ni, banyak orang Cina, orang India, orang non-Muslim rasa terpinggir, rasa tertekan. They feel like it is appetite. I explain juga pada orang, bukan appetite lah. Depends what they mean by appetite. Kalau double standards bagi the constitution, memanglah pasal Malay ada special position. There are certain things Malays get and non-Malays don't get. Okay, so itu is there, constitutional. Banyak non-Malays tak question pun yang tu. Tapi of course, it's a point of dissatisfaction. Tapi bila come like this, you lebih-lebih, you impose, you superimpose, you burn back that, you ignite balik that sentiments. Non-Malays pun lagi menyampah, bengang. And because they are so angry of this being oppression, and dia nampak benda ni dibuat oleh Melayu, dan Melayu ni Islam, banyak juga non-Malay jadi Islamophobia. Tak suka. They don't realize. They tend to not like Islam. Can you blame them? Bila orang buat tu, semua yang dia berkata is under Islam. They use Islam to oppress the non-Muslims. Therefore, the non-Muslims see Islam as oppressive. In this country especially. Tapi, you tengok the earlier video I shared. This guy who says, dia tak tahu kenapa China tak berapa compassionate towards Palestine, tak support Palestine, tak support. Well, first things first, saya nak qualify. Ramai China yang support Palestine. Ramai orang India yang support Palestine. That disagree. But notice, all these people, dia tak rasa tertekan sangat oleh this government because they are better off. They are the top rank of society. They are earning well and dia tak tertekan sangat because of the discrimination. Tapi for the vast majority, ramai nampak Palestin dengan Israel ini sebagai isu Islam dengan Yahudi. Now, kalau sudah ada sentiments negative towards Islam, jadi a lot of non-Muslims lebih suka percaya narrative of the non-Muslim sect, which is the Jews. Jadi dia baca news pun from the Jew perspective. And you know how Jews spend money on media. Jadi the non-Muslims in this country mostly suka the narrative of the Jews. Hamas yang jahat. Hamas serang dia from October 7. Sebelum October 7 bercerita, siapa tak mau dengar. Because there's no story keluar pun. They see a snapshot. And because of that, the enormous massacre and genocide in Gaza. Some yang percaya ataupun tapi dah rasa tak boleh lah, tak berhenti ni, teruk sangat, lebih sangat. And because of that, they start supporting Gaza and inilah China dan India kan. Dia support gitu. Tapi some people tak kena lagi. It's okay, lagi mati lagi bagus. Better, why? Because kat Malaysia ni never ending Islam tekan kaum lain. Jadi for that brother yang heran kenapa pasal look, cerminkan balik pada kita, how do we treat the minorities? Jadi bila kita treat the minorities tak kena gaya and minorities sees that oppression from Islam, jadi bila Gaza ni represent Islam, the sympathy tu kurang. They don't see the need to sacrifice. Tapi like I say, I want to qualify, there are many Chinese who are passionate about Palestine. Some may even want to sacrifice their life. China, India, ada orang macam tu. Tapi tak majority lah, sikit. Jadi, banyak jangan tanya juga, is Palestine the only victims? Banyak lagi tempat lain ada genocide. Kenapa hanya Gaza? All these questions will come bagi orang yang rasa, why you grant special consideration to any Islamic plight? Yang tak Islamik tu, you tak sangat. It ignites balik dia punya sentiments pasal kena tekan sekian lama berdekat-dekat kat Malaysia by all these ultra Malays. Jadi it is sick, it is sickening. This brother dia buat tadi tu, dia buat video pasal apa? Dia nak kata dia pelik, dia bingung, dia tak faham. Tak apa, I harap dia dengar my voice note ni, harap dia faham kenapa. I'm not justifying, I'm just explaining, giving a perspective. Kenapa? Okay, no please, there's also many Melayu yang sokong Israel. Tak kesian, tak satu pun dia post apa pun. Some even my friends, they don't care about Palestine. They rasa Palestine, until they change themselves, they don't deserve to not be killed. Genocide should happen to people like them. And they sokong Israel. Dia bagi dia Israel is defending itself. Melayu, nama Islam. Jadi, you must understand, these Malays also are compassionate about the Chinese and Indians, and they don't like the oppression against the Chinese and Indian. Because of that, mengganggu dia punya sifat kasihan atau empathy to Gaza, because they perceive Gaza as Islam, and Islam is the oppressing force in the world to their mind. Hope that clarifies. And tanya balik, what kind of ambassadors of Islam are we? Sampai orang boleh tak ada mercy atau tak ada simpati pada budak-budak, kanak-kanak mati because they are of a certain religion yang kita Muslims misrepresent and guna untuk menganiayai dan menekan kaum-kaum minoriti. We are the cause of some people's non-compassion to saudara-saudara Islam kita seluruh dunia. Reflect and don't blame other people. I tak kata kita Melayu saja tak betul, Cina. What I'm saying is defang kat Malaysia ni. Kebanyakan orang dah yang suka oppress dan telah dioppress berdekat-dekat for decades. This is what happened. We are so ensnared in racism. Bila kita nak liberate ourselves from that shackles of racism and bigotry, this I don't know. I don't know what it would take to change, but it is a sad situation in this country.
In less than a week from now, on the 17th of October, it would have been 7 years since I first saw this video entitled The Insulin Resistance Diet by Cyrus Kambata. It's a lecture by Cyrus Kambata, PhD, who has a PhD in nutritional biochemistry from Berkeley, and previously he had a degree in mechanical engineering from Stanford. And because this video made a lot of sense to me, the very next day, the 18th of October 2018, I started on a whole food plant-based diet. In that video, which actually is, I think is incorrectly named, it should be called the insulin resistance reversal diet rather than the insulin resistance diet. It's a diet that doesn't cause insulin resistance, but reverses it. So that was a error, I think, that needs to be corrected. I've also since discovered that Cyrus has oversimplified the analogy. He makes us think of the cell as a house, the insulin receptor site as a keyhole, and insulin as a key that unlocks the keyhole to open the glucose gateway into the cell. The error he makes, or is slightly misleading, is that he presents intramyocellular lipids, which is a form of ectopic fat, as an antagonist that jams up the keyhole, preventing insulin to bind with the receptor site, meaning the key to unlock the keyhole. Well, the truth is a little bit more complex, nuanced, and complicated. The truth is, intramyocellular lipids work further down the line. Okay, so it doesn't act as an antagonist. Insulin does bind with the insulin receptor site. However, despite binding with the receptor site, it's unable to unlock the door for very complicated biochemical reasons. Okay, so the analogy holds so far, but in general, he is correct in saying that intramyocellular lipids is the culprit, as well as its metabolites. The whole problem is a lipotoxicity issue. Anyway, without getting into details of that, I made a separate. I wrote a separate essay about that. I think I'll turn it into video and post it later. But anyway, it's been 7 years that I've been on this whole food plant-based diet, and I don't just eat plants. I also eat species from other kingdoms, particularly algae, which seaweed belong to. Seaweeds are not plants; they belong to the algae family, and other stuff, like spirulina and chlorella, which are hybrids. They're half cyanobacteria and half fungi or something like that. They're like neither here nor there. And I also eat species from the fungi kingdom. So fungi, mushrooms, toadstools, and stuff like that are not plants. They belong to their own kingdom called fungi. And there are very few animal species that I eat. Okay, one group that I do eat for the omega-3 fatty acids, the omega-3 polyunsaturated fatty acids. There are 3 of them. There are ALA, EPA, and DHA. I can't pronounce their full names. They're a bit of a tongue twister. If you want to hear more details of that, go to Dr. Rhonda Patrick's channel. She's a biochemist and she can rattle off these chemical names, by heart. Anyway, ALA and EPA are produced in the plant kingdom primarily by flax, chia, walnuts, and DHA is produced mostly by chlorella, spirulina, and seaweed. There are 5 species of fish called smash: salmon, mackerel, anchovy, sardines, and herring, which are high in these omega-3 polyunsaturated fatty acids, particularly DHA. And they don't produce it themselves. They get it from eating seaweed or by eating other fish that eat seaweed. Okay, so if you want to go for the primary source, you can have half a teaspoon of spirulina and or chlorella daily. If you take more, I have taken 2 heaped teaspoons a day, and it gives me hypotension because it's very potent stuff. It'll give me postural hypotension. Okay, so although it makes your blood vessel flexible, it can make it also too flexible. It would dilate when it's not necessary and lower your blood pressure quite a bit. Okay, it can make your blood pressure go down to like 65/40 or something, which is, when you stand up from a supine position, if you start seeing stars or feel dizzy, then you've got, postural hypotension, or you're like squatting down and petting a cat, and then you stand up and start seeing stars, that's an issue. But as long as you can, stand up from a squatting position or from a supine position, that means lying flat on your back, standing up, and you don't see stars or feel giddy, it's fine. Doesn't matter what your systolic or diastolic numbers are. That's a test, actually. It's a qualitative test rather than a quantitative test. The numbers in themselves don't mean anything. It's the qualitative aspects that determine whether you have postural hypotension or not, and whether it's a clinical issue or not. Because if you do have postural hypotension, you're prone to falls and things like that. Anyway, to celebrate my 7 years of going on a whole food plant-based diet. Whole foods means unprocessed foods, okay? Foods which are minimally processed, basically as close to nature as you can find it. Whole foods are defined as foods where nothing good has been removed and nothing bad has been added. Okay, so most commercial food that you find in the supermarket, if it comes in a tin or in a box, it is processed. It's probably dehydrated, had most of its water removed. Some have all its fiber removed, so they're food-like substances. They're not real food. Okay, so if you want real food, go to your local pasar tani, your local pasar malam, and get fresh produce, okay? And you'll find they're surprisingly cheap there and very fresh, because most of these traders do not have refrigeration facilities, so they try to sell everything that they buy from the pasar borong in the morning at their stall. If it's a pasar malam, they try to sell it, and not carry things overnight. So if they run out, they run out, and when they're about to run out, they still have something, they'll sell it very cheap so that they don't have to keep it overnight. Because if they do keep it in their lorry overnight, the next day it will be not so fresh and nobody would buy it. So they tend to clear their stock before they finish for the day. So you can rest assured you get very fresh food at Pasar Malam and Pasar Tani. So I also don't take sofas. Sofas are sugar, oil, flours, and alcohol. Sugars, because it's a highly processed product. To make sugar, you have to boil sugarcane juice. So the act of boiling itself destroys vitamins and antioxidants. You're just left with sucrose, which is disaccharide. I think it's a molecule of glucose stuck to a molecule of fructose or something like that. Anyway, white table sugar is poison. Don't you believe anyone who says otherwise. If you eat fruit, sugarcane juice, it's a totally different thing as far as your body is concerned from a metabolic point of view. But if you take diluted white sugar crystals, your body will treat it as if it were poisoned. It will actually poison your body in the long term, not overnight, but in the long term. Same with salt. So I don't take salt anymore, not for a long time. I do eat salty things, but not that white powder. All these white powders are poison. Same with monosodium glutamate. You do have MSG in broccoli, in seaweed, and a whole bunch of other things, but that's in its natural form, and it's very dilute, and it's safe for our body to consume. Our body has been designed to handle it in those proportions, okay? But if you just extract it out and turn it into a white concentrated powder, it's poison. Same with coca leaves and cocaine. When I climbed Machu Picchu, they gave me coca leaves to chew on, and I chewed. It's to prevent altitude sickness, and it's perfectly fine. Didn't make me go high or have hallucinations or go psychotic or anything like that. And then when I asked what these leaves are, they said they're coca. And then I was surprised. I was shocked. Coca, this is the stuff that you make cocaine from? And then, they started laughing at me. And I said, why are you laughing? They said, well, it takes 400 kilos of coca leaves to make 1 kilo of cocaine. And if you go to any supermarket in Peru and most of Latin America, you could find in the supermarket section where they sell coffee and tea, coca leaves in boxes. They sell it very freely, openly, and it's perfectly legal. Okay, it's only when you concentrate it and make it into cocaine that it becomes problematic. And I think the same applies with ketum and ganja, marijuana. Anyway, the Swiss physician Paracelsus said long time ago, everything is poison. It's only a matter of dose. And he introduced the concept of a therapeutic window. So the idea is everything is poison, even if it's water, the most essential nutrient, there's this story about the number 3 minutes without oxygen, you're dead. 3 days without water, you're dead. 3 weeks without food, you're dead. So water is very essential. 3 days without it, you're dead. But if you try and drink 11 liters of water at one go, you'd be dead too. Your blood in your body is about 11 liters. So if you drink 11 liters of water at one go, that's about 3.5 gallons. You'd dilute your water by half. Your electrolyte percentage would go very low. You'd get convulsions, muscle spasm, headaches, vomiting, diarrhea, and a whole bunch of other things, and it will be a very slow, painful death for you. So everything, even the most essential nutrient, is poison if it's in excessive amounts. So the idea is to get its sweet spot. There are also things which are poison, which are not beneficial at any dose, even in parts per million. Things like aluminium, cyanide, copper is also a two-edged sword. We need it in very small amounts, but if you exceed that in a very small amount, you can get over-methylation, and you can get bipolar disorders and schizophrenia, stuff like that. So copper is problematic. Aluminium is strange. It's an element that the body does not require at all. We have no dietary requirement for it. It's very strange. It occurs in nature, it's there, but our body just doesn't need it at all. And if it's in the body, it causes problems. Okay? So get rid of all your aluminium cookware. And for the same reason, you should get rid of your copper cookware, because if you have copper or brass is alloy of copper and tin. So if you do have brass, like this Blanger, Tembaga, or copper pots and pans, which the French are very crazy about because it conducts heat very quickly, do get rid of it. You're far better off having cast iron cookware. Anyway, you do need copper, but it's very easy to overdose on copper, and it's very easy to overdose on aluminium because no dose is safe as far as aluminium is concerned. So just get rid of all your aluminium cookware. Most rice cookers have an aluminium steel bowl, and the ones which are Teflon covered are the worst because these Teflons will come off, scrape off, and they are microplastic. Teflon is a plastic of sorts, and it's indestructible. It doesn't biodegrade, so it will become microplastic that will get stuck in your body at the cellular level and prevent lots of physiological processes from happening. And what's worse is Malaysia is the world's dumping ground for plastic. And as people, Malaysians have in their body the most microplastic in the whole world. It's sad, but it's true. And it's about time we wake up to that fact and do something drastic about it. Okay, anyway, Saturday, 18th of October, 2025, I'm going to celebrate 7 years of eating a whole food plant-based diet. The celebration would be at the Malaysian Association for the Blind Canteen. It's in Brickfields in Jalan Tebing off Jalan Tun Sambatan 4. The easiest way to get there is by monorail. It's one stop away from KL Central. Just get out of the monorail, cross the road. There's a traffic light there. And you're at the MAB complex. Just tell the guardhouse you need to go to my function in the canteen, and they'll show you the way. The pedestrian crossing, the zebra crossing between the monorail station and the MAB is very hazardous. There are a lot of motorcycles that will curi ayam and cross, despite the fact that the zebra crossing would be beeping and it'll be green for pedestrians, blind pedestrians to cross. These people like to curi ayam. I've smashed a lot of them with my white cane and swore, expletives, choice expletives in half a dozen languages, particularly in Tamil, as well as in Chinese, Malay, English, whatever, because they just don't respect the law. And people who don't respect the law deserve no compassion from me. Okay, I hold them in utter contempt and derision. And there are cars who do that as well. Okay, I've bent quite a number of my white canes when cars zoom past me. Quite annoying. They even do it at the pedestrian crossing at UMMC. There's one particular incident where my cane got quite badly mangled by a car that just zoomed past, even though it was supposed to be red for cars and it was green for pedestrians to cross. So I have no sympathy for these people. I mean, I wish if I were autocratic dictator, I'd put them against a firing squad and be shot, because they don't deserve any progeny, I mean, we don't want children of stupid people to be born, because they're most likely to be equally stupid or disrespectful for the law. Because I think respect for the law is inherited from parental behavior. Children imitate what their parents do. If the parents have a apathetic tidak apa attitude, then the children also will have an apathetic, selfish tidak apa attitude. They'll have a me first attitude, which is bad, because we live in a society, and in society we have to have teamwork, and teamwork is everything. About teamwork is about subordination of self. It's for the good of the group, of society, not for your individual advantage. Okay, so it's for our collective advantage. I made a video about Deepavali. I'll post a link here. There are very few views because it's quite deep, and I think most of our audience, it's above their heads. They wouldn't understand. But the whole point of this channel is to post messages that deserve a wider audience. For those who understand, please, viralize it, spread the word so that more people can understand. For those who don't, please watch it again. Try to get something out of it. Some things you need to watch as much as 6 times, 7 times, before different layers of meaning get to you, and then you have a greater appreciation. Just like when I watched Cyrus Kambata's video the first time, the impression I got was that intramyocellular lipids was an antagonist to insulin, but it's not. It actually works in a slightly different way. But the net result's the same. Is all ectopic fats are poison in the long run, particularly visceral fat. And depending on which, where the intramyocellular binds at which particular gland or organ, it will manifest as different diseases. Most commonly as chronic kidney disease, but also cardiovascular disease, and also dementia. In fact, dementia is now known in some circles as type 3 diabetes. Okay, when cells are deprived of glucose, they starve of fuel, so they atrophy and die. And when the cells in that particular organ dies, then the organ fails, and when the organ fails, you have a problem with that organ. Okay, so if you're free on Saturday, 12 to 2:30, do drop by the MAB canteen. Invitations by, what do you call it, donation. If you donate 50 ringgit or above, you can drop by. You can donate by scanning the QR code. I'll provide a link in this video, or you can pay when you come. I'll have a curated menu, but the curated menu is only for the first 8 people to come. And if you come after the first 8 person, or don't pay before, so that I can book, get the catering to provide for you, you have to order something else from the canteen menu. Okay? Kak Shikin is quite accommodating. She will cook something up for you. Either nasi lemak or nasi goreng or mee goreng or whatever. But the menu for the first 8 people would be curated by me, and it will be a whole food plant-based menu. It'll be nasi ulam, actually. Okay, that's it for today. I know this is a long video, but I just want to get the message out there. See you next time. Bye.
Why WFPB, Doctors for Nutrition? WFPB stands for Whole Food, Plant-Based, a diet and lifestyle focused on plant-derived foods that are unprocessed or minimally processed, while minimizing or excluding animal products and highly refined ingredients. The diet emphasizes fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds, while avoiding added sugars, refined flours, and oils. The core principle is to eat foods in their natural state or close to it, rather than highly processed imitation products. Key principles: whole foods. Foods that are in their natural, unrefined state or have undergone minimal processing, like canned beans or frozen vegetables. Plant-based. Foods that come exclusively from plants, excluding meat, dairy, eggs, and honey. Minimal processing. A focus on foods that are as close to nature as possible, avoiding ingredients that are heavily refined, such as white flour, white rice, and added oils. Nutrient dense, prioritizing foods rich in fiber, vitamins, and minerals to meet nutritional needs. Foods to emphasize: fruits and vegetables, a wide variety of fresh and colorful produce. Whole grains, such as brown rice, oats, quinoa, and whole wheat. Legumes, beans, lentils, chickpeas, and peas. Nuts and seeds, almonds, walnuts, chia seeds, and flax seeds. Foods to limit or avoid processed foods, any food that has been heavily altered from its natural state. Animal products, meat, dairy, and eggs. Refined grains, white flour, white rice, and pasta made from refined flour. Added sugars and artificial sweeteners, including high fructose corn syrup and confectioner's sugar. Added oils, even those considered minimally processed like olive oil, are typically excluded due to their processing and added calories. WFPB versus vegan diet. While both are plant-focused, a vegan diet focuses only on eliminating animal products and can include highly processed foods, while a WFPB diet additionally emphasizes whole, minimally processed foods.
In the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel to show your support. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel to show your support.